Hey Doobs, how we doing today? Welcome to a special DoobiSode where I really do just wanna talk about the showcase. Sorry, just had my camera. The showcase we had from Xbox, Phil Spencer and the team. Wow, I'm actually very impressed. There's some things that concern me. But really just want to talk about it. I know we just had the DoobiSode yesterday, but I figured we'd have a special episode just talking about what we saw. This is primarily a PlayStation channel, but hey, I am a fan of all things gaming, so I really just like to do these episodes live, talk about it. Whoever wants to join, we got a bunch of new friends joining us, and thank you for everyone who's supported and followed me. But I always like to start off the video just giving credit where credit is due, and that is definitely the Doob Radical audience that has been building up recently. So thank you so much, guys. We're almost at 300 followers on Facebook. We're at about 126 or something subs on YouTube, so keep them coming, guys. We're having a whole lot of fun having discussions, and I'm always adding stuff to the channel here just to make sure it's a little more up. Yeah, hey Emilio, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining the Xbox Showcase presented by Doob. Your boy here, the host, the legend, the gamer. Here we are. So let's get right into it. Yeah, I really just like the overall ebb and the flow of the show. It felt very similar to Sony's Future of Gaming event, where you know they had some people come out and talk a little bit, and then they just pretty much got right into the game. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of go play by play here, what I saw, what I didn't see, and you know, just some things that I thought kind of really that caught my eye here. And yeah, so really did feel like, you know, Xbox is taking a new direction of rebranding a lot of their franchises, kind of resetting, you know, kind of doing the soft reboot thing that we saw with titles on PlayStation like God of War 2018 and such as that nature. But yeah, let's just start out with, yeah, Halo Infinite was the first thing they showed. You know, it looked like there was kind of a combination of pre-rendered and rendered gameplay, but we actually did get to see real live gameplay, very reminiscent of the Silent Cartographer from Halo 1. They even had very similar a soundtrack there. I'm not actually playing Halo Infinite, but I just figured, you know, they made me tag the game in the video. So that's kind of what we were really, I think a lot of fans were excited to see, actual real live Halo gameplay. And yeah, it looked great. It looked very nostalgic. There was it seemed like they were kind of pulling the nostalgic strings here with what we showed with the Halo footage, the Halo Infinite. Yeah, it showed Master Chief. He's got kind of his new buddy with him, and it kind of looked like finally, you know, just a good game with a good journey, a good adventure, and then a good story intertwined. I just feel like we really haven't seen that from Xbox. They've kind of just really taken, you know, granted the hard road of making a lot of older games backwards compatible with the newer consoles and even upgrading them, and they definitely discussed that pretty much in you know, every game that we saw at the showcase is pretty much if the game is going to be available on current gen, you just get the free upgrade to next gen. But yeah, I'm just going to be looking at my notes. But yeah, just, you know, as far as the Halo Infinite gameplay, felt very nostalgic, very like the Silent Cartographer, that setting. Master Chief was just headshotting little grubs and fighting elites, and then we got kind of the introduction of a new bad guy. But yeah, it was kind of an open linear type experience where the game's not super open world, but it is a much vaster level than, you know, what we've seen with original Halo games. There's kind of that openness, kind of like, I keep hating to keep referencing God of War here, but you know, it just kind of feels like that open-endedness where there is a path you need to take, but it is at its heart a little more open, maybe some side quests, maybe some extra little lore bits you can find within the levels. And I thought that was really cool. You know, I love that they kind of showed just the starting screen. And of course, this says the episode is brought to you by Arizona RX Energy. I just gotta take a quick swig here because I'm getting real excited. I talk really fast when I get excited. Oh, they're just so much better when they're cold. But anyway, back to Halo Infinite. Very, just very what I've wanted out of a Halo game for a long time. I mean, I have played Halo 3, 4, and then they, you know, they really kind of botched the marketing with Halo 5 and just really gave us a much different story than we were anticipating there, and that just kind of seems like they're maybe scrapping it. So yeah, Halo Infinite, I mean, it's not a numbered entry. This is, you know, continuation of the story, it seems, but it looks like it is kind of doing the soft reboot for new fans and just a newer generation of audiences. If they do get the Xbox One Series X, that they're just going to kind of start fresh with a fresh Halo experience. And but pretty much the gameplay did look very similar to what you'd find in Halo 2 and 3, and they kind of added a grappler system where you can grapple things and throw it. Of course, Master Chief is a beast, so there's a lot of that kind of newish gameplay without feeling too over the end. But as far as the graphics go, I'm not really super impressed. I mean, the game looked good, but they just keep marketing Xbox as the strongest console out there, of course, with native 4K. They're having a couple more teraflops of processing power. But I didn't really, you know, not to spoil, you know, if you watch the showcase, you know what I'm talking about, but I don't really feel like we got what they were kind of talking about. Granted, these games are years out. I mean, Halo Infinite is going to be coming out this holiday, supposedly a launch title for the Xbox One Series X, which is a big deal. But there's just something missing in the fidelity and the things that we've seen from Sony and PlayStation, and so we got the Halo footage, very cool. Just it just didn't really feel like a true next gen look. And then we got a State of Decay was the next exclusive premiere that they showed, State of Decay 3, and State of Decay has kind of had a troubled history, especially with the sequel kind of releasing with a bunch of bugs and not really a finished product. But the trailer looked cool. We got a zombie deer. I thought that there was a cool contrast of this traveler and this warrior running through these snowy fields, and a wolf was stalking her, and she kind of screeched at the wolf, and the wolf ran away. And then we seen the same traveler find a dead wolf getting eaten by the zombie deer, and the zombie deer kind of screamed at her the same way that she screamed at the wolf. So it was a pre-rendered trailer. So I thought that was interesting. It was really cool that we got the Halo. It was really cool that we got another State of Decay. They kind of started with some bigger titles that more people know of, and I'm just going to kind of go through what I saw. Yeah, and they kind of, Phil Spencer came out, talked about all of their Xbox game studios, much like PlayStation have branded the PlayStation studios. And of course, I refer to the Marvel Cinematic Universe opener that they got going on there. Yeah, I kind of realized actually how much more studios Xbox really has under their wing, and at a really high quality. And I'd say a higher quality. I'm going to get into that here a little bit when I start talking about the games, but they just showed off kind of all the games under their wing. And of course, we know they have Ninja Theory now, Obsidian. We had some Obsidian stuff that we'll talk about. Yeah, Rareware, and of course, Double Fine is under their wing as well. And I'm still kind of curious about some of the games, and I will talk about some of the things we saw here in a second. But I'm just really proud of Xbox, really, I mean, kind of claiming the studios they need, even if they're maybe going overboard, and they're maybe going for quantity over quality, just because a lot of the games promoted here are able to be played on the cloud, and I think they're just trying to really play catch up here with the games that they showcase. And there was a lot of things we saw. I'm just hoping that the quality can just kick itself up a little bit, just because it looks like they're competing more with the PC market and the Stadia market, not so much the Sony PlayStation. It seems like, I'm proud that they're kind of picking their own battles. They're not really, I'm not trying to fight you, Sony. I'm just doing our own thing, and that's really the vibe I got from this showcase. But yeah, so we saw Halo, State of Decay, a bunch of studios that are now branded Xbox Game Studios. All games, pretty much are going to be playable on the Game Pass. That is something I truly appreciate and respect Xbox for, is for just giving accessibility to their games. But I think this is where the cost really does seem noticeable, because if you have all your games just available at the ready on Xbox Game Pass in a subscription-based service, people aren't going to be paying full price for those games. that in turn really merit a full-fledged AAA development title if they can just get these games discounted at, you know, $15-30 a month or whatever, which does seem like a smart strategy, and the games do look good. But I mean, Halo Infinite, I'd say, wasn't looking nearly as good as some of the, you know, most recent PlayStation 4 Pro titles like Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. It looked good. It just kind of did look like it was part of that, you know, that market where, you know, look, we're getting all of our games. We're going to get the free upgrades to the Xbox One Series X free of charge when that comes around. Super cool. But it just looks like I can really see where they're kind of meriting a little bit of a loss in the downscale. But granted, you know, some of these games will come out for a couple of years, so maybe they'll really work on that. But yeah, so they really did mention all games playable on Games Pass. We got the Forza Motorsport. Forza Motorsport has always been a huge Xbox exclusive, you know, kind of like the Gran Turismo killer. It really did. I mean, I'd say most people really do prefer Forza Motorsport over Gran Turismo. We really haven't seen Gran Turismo in a minute, but I really liked what I saw. Forza Motorsport, it looked really good. I'd say this game was one of the better looking games. It looked like it was running in real time. You know, all the cars and the vehicles looked extra shiny, and yeah, I really liked what I saw there. You can really only do so much innovatively with a racing game, especially when you're going for a realistic racer. You can only really add so much to the gameplay, but maybe there's some things there that I kind of missed. I was eating some wings, so I was really just kind of taking it all in, writing down a few notes. But I thought Forza Motorsport for the most part looked really good. And yeah, and this is where we really started getting into some other titles that we weren't really sure of and that were officially revealed here. Yeah, we got a reveal of Everwild here. I'm just going to go ahead and blow this up a little bit just because this is a beautiful shot. Yeah, this is Rare's next game. Rare is also part of the Xbox Game Studios, exclusively making games for the Xbox, and this is one of them. This is where I actually started getting a little jealous here. Hey, what's up, Swanee? Thanks for joining, man. Just talking about the amazing showcase we saw for the Xbox. Had their, you know, Future of Gaming event today, and so we talked about Halo, State of Decay, and Forza. Yeah, and Everwild seems to be this really, I love the art style of this game. This is definitely a Rare art style game, and there was kind of a group of healers and warriors, and it seemed like they were culminating to kind of save the landscape and save the animals. So, you know, it looks like if its focus wasn't on action or at least on violence, it was very much more of a peaceful, probably a pretty well story-driven game. Granted, we didn't get any gameplay. We kind of just got a really nice story trailer, you know, with some cool narration. The music was good, the art style, but yeah, really liked just the look of this game. It was very Rare. I always want to say Rareware, but then it's just Rare. But yeah, no Banjo-Kazooie this time, no nuts and bolts. That's okay by me. I'm really glad that Rare is, you know, of course we knew the disaster that was Sea of Thieves. It was pretty much you know, as big as the ocean, as shallow as a puddle, kind of deal there. But granted, they did start to add some games, but it was just kind of bogged down by the microtransactions and just the bullshit, really. But yeah, I have high hopes for this game, and this is when I really felt like, oh, maybe this is what Xbox players were feeling for the past 2 to 3 years. Like, man, I would really like to play that if it was on my console. So yeah, Everwild looks really cool. It's Rare's new game that's under the, you know, Xbox Game Studios umbrella, so I'm sure they're gonna really keep a close eye and make sure that this game has some truly enticing content, so they don't have another misstep, kind of like Sea of Thieves. I'm not trying to talk down Sea of Thieves. I liked what I was going for. It just kind of fell short, you know, of what was promised. But Everwild looked good. I don't want to take too much of your time today. I'm just really excited, and we did see some really cool things. Yeah, so I'm just going to talk about some other smaller titles that we kind of saw. throughout the show here, and I'm just trying to get rid of one of my my picture here. So yeah, I really liked what we saw with Everwild. Then we got I like kind of how they just start the trailers, when you're watching a showcase and you're trying to guess what game it is or where it's from, and I could immediately tell that the next trailer they were showing for was a Don't Nod game. Don't Nod has a very specific look of their games. Of course, they made Life is Strange. They got a new, bigger project called Twin Mirror coming out. And now Xbox is getting an exclusive tale called Tell Me Why. I was really jealous. It did look just more of the same of what we see with Don't Nod, especially with it very much looked like a Life is Strange game with its own choice-driven narrative. And if you've been watching my channel, I love the choice-driven narrative games. But I was just like, man, I kind of wish I could play that game, kind of like Everwild. So I was just really glad that Xbox was showing some games that I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll look more into buying an Xbox, because it looks like they're putting out some exclusive content. Granted, what I'm saying, though, is that it's going to be kind of nice to just buy the console. You can just get the Game Pass. Pretty much every game they showed here, you'll be able to play on Game Pass, if not all of them. I think that's just kind of the strategy they're going for. But yeah, more or less another Life is Strange game.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, thanks for liking the stream, bud. So pretty much more or less what we saw with previous Don't Nod games. I thought it was a trailer for Twin Mirror, but it was its own original Xbox exclusive game. Tell Me Why. It's kind of like the tale of a brother and a sister. In classic Don't Nod fashion, they're going to go on some sort of journey to unravel a mystery. But I like the look, and I'm sure, but it doesn't really look next gen. None of these games really looked next gen. That's just kind of my thing. I mean, they looked great. I'm not saying they looked bad. I'm not saying they didn't look polished. All I'm really saying is that they're talking that they have the most powerful console, but they didn't prove it to me. And kind of the same thing with the PlayStation Future of Gaming event is I saw the games. Some of them did. It was mostly the things happening on screen. I really think of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. It didn't look like a crazy graphical upgrade from the PS4 Pro, but the things happening on screen is like, oh, I can see where this is going to be playable in 4K 60 FPS, and that's the true marvel that Sony is going to be going for, at least at the start of the console generation. Then we will be seeing the really crazy, amazing looking games like God of War 2 and the eventual Marvel Spider-Man 2 and Resident Evil 8. I mean, we saw little snippets there. Those games truly looked next gen. So I was kind of just fishing for the games. I just really wanted that next gen fresh IP gaming look, and even though we didn't get that graphically, I really did like what I saw content wise with Everwild, and then Tell Me Why looked really enticing. So yeah, they had a bunch of other little snippets. So a lot of free upgrade. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is getting a free upgrade for Xbox One Series X. Looks like it was running at 120 hertz. I guess the game is already at 60, but these games are just they're just gonna be looking fast forward with all the hertz. That's just kind of the big draw of next gen. Is it's not the graphics are gonna be better, it's that we're gonna be able to be playing 4K 60 FPS. That's the target. That's what's really going to make this gen different from next gen. And I guess, for me, that doesn't really matter. That does matter for a lot of fighting games, and especially fighting games online that are really going to benefit from having these frame rate upgrades. But, I guess it's just the smoother appealing to the eye. But, I'm kind of the classic 30 FPS noir movie film look. I mean, but hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for the future. So yeah, and then Outer Worlds is getting some exclusive DLC for Xbox. I haven't tried Outer Wilds yet, and that is going to be was the last game released on a PlayStation console, because of course now Obsidian is now under Xbox Game Studios' wing. They're taking care of them. So we got some a cool look at some free DLC. for Xbox. And yeah, so hopefully check out Outer Wilds. I'm really glad, and a lot of these things are actually tell me why. And the first episode I think is available next month, and the Outer Worlds DLC is available in September. So they were really showing a lot of cool content that's going to be available pretty shortly. I mean, they got to get some of this stuff out because we're already on the super twilight end of next gen, where next gen is going to be starting come October, November. I think that's the sweet spot. I don't think these consoles will be released in December. I think as far as gaming goes, if they can hit it, they want to get these consoles out by Black Friday. They want to maximize their selling dates. So I think a late October, early November release date is realistically what we're looking at for next gen. But we're just hearing holiday 2020, so whatever the fork that means. But there was Obsidian is also having another game come out. Actually, they're having a bunch of stuff. So they're doing the Outer Worlds DLC, and they had a real funny intro to one of their new IPs called Grounded, which is actually really cool. I did have a picture for this. I didn't put it up. Maybe I can boot her up really quick here. But yeah, Grounded, I'm just gonna forego it. Grounded is it looks like a 4-player. You're playing in kind of a backyard. You're the size of ants, and you're gonna be fighting off insects and the real bigger world. But they had a great start to the trailer where it's like, if you want to play the biggest game of the year, wait for Cyberpunk 2077. So they introduced the biggest game of the year as 2077 Cyberpunk, and then they're like, but if you want to play the tiniest game of the year, play Grounded. Yeah, and of course this is another Obsidian based title that's exclusive to Xbox and Xbox Series X. And I really like it. I can see this is going to be, a streamer's game where especially a bunch of buddies are going to get together. They're going to fight ants and spiders. And biggest fan right here. Hey, what's up, Sam, man? Thanks for joining, dude. Hope you're liking. Hey, give the video a like if you can, buddy. You'll get a cool little emote with your name on it. So Grounded was a very cool... I can just see a lot of people streaming and playing this with their buddies. Hopefully there's some couch co-op gameplay going on here. But I really, again, Grounded was another game where I'm like, I would really like to play that with my friends. And I really like there's a lot of, hey, there we go, buddy. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So there was a lot of, again, another game that didn't look really next gen, but I like that Microsoft is really just flipping it around, showing us the games, at least putting something out there that I would really genuinely want to play. So Grounded kind of had that. Whoa, sorry, I had my window open and there's ambulances going on. The world's coming to an end, folks. But yeah, and then Obsidian is like, wait, we still have that other thing coming. They're having a AAA RPG called Avowed coming out in the next couple years. So Obsidian has got a lot in the tank, and actually this game did look very next gen-y. I think what we saw was still pre-rendered footage of what looked very Skyrim-y. Look, the two hands were out. He was holding the sword in one hand, and then he kind of made a sign with the other one. I really liked what I saw with that. And of course, they did the thing where you get up to a cave and you see the monster grumbling in the cave, and you don't actually get to see the monster, and then it cuts to like, oh, Avowed is coming out in 2021, or I think that's when it was coming out. But so yeah, Avowed was coming out, and then I really liked how the whole showcase kind of transitioned with the developer speaking, and then they really honored their next presenter, and they were all it seemed very hey Swanee, thanks for liking the stream, man. I really man, that emote gets me every time. I hope I get excited as that guy sometime in my life to make that face. It's truly a face you only can make when you're living in that moment. But anyway, I didn't quite get that from this presentation. Almost. I kind of got it during the PlayStation event though. But yeah, so Interior Night, I liked how they transitioned and they kind of showed where all these developers were relative to one another, and they're like, oh, and we just have our neighbor Ninja Theory, and and let's check in on what Obsidian's doing, and kind of showed them where they were in the world, and you know, everyone's kind of scattered away. So yeah, and then they transitioned to the developer Interior Night, and they showed another a very drawn, painted, again, a very story-focused game called As Dusk Falls, and I really do like these, you know, story-driven narrative titles. But sometimes it just feels like maybe there's a little bit too much of them, and everyone kind of has a very similar idea. But again, I just really like the art style As Dusk Falls here. It really does seem like, again, another game I'd play. But there is a lot of games that we're gonna go over to, and of course, yeah, we saw Hellblade. Ninja Theory, they kind of had a little special where you can check out a behind the scenes. I guess it's taking place in Iceland. I loved the first Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. I think I will stream that, but of course, since you know, Ninja Theory is owned by Xbox Game Studios now, we won't be seeing Hellblade 2 on a PlayStation console. But you know, I'll check it out. Maybe I'll even pick up an Xbox to pick it out. But you know, I really got to be sold. I like the pre-rendered footage we saw of Hellblade, and the first Hellblade still looks really good for being a independent AAA title. It's kind of weird to say, but that's kind of what it was. The combat was pretty basic, but the game itself looked very good, and there was a really cool psychoanalysis story there, especially if you're playing the game with headphones. Very cool stuff. But yeah, and of course, and this is what gave me the face from the emoji, is we finally saw another thing for Psychonauts 2. Double Fine is owned by Xbox now, but I think it sounds like Psychonauts 2 still is coming out for PlayStation. God, I hope it is, because I've been waiting for a Psychonauts 2 since I beat the first one. I'm really enticed by this game. I'm really we didn't get a release date, but we got a really cool bit of this trailer where at first it showed of course Tim Schafer, the CEO of Double Fine. We go into Double Fine, and it's Jack Black. Jack Black is there, you know, shaking up with Tim Schafer, and then he's like, are we gonna sing this thing or what? And of course, it looks like they're introducing Jack Black as a character in Psychonauts 2, because of course he was, you know, the voice of the main character in Brutal Legend, and that game is and still is underappreciated. Brutal Legend, I definitely need to replay that game, because Jack Black did amazing. They had a bunch of other cool voices like Ozzy in that game. Tim Schafer is a very connected man musically, but yeah, so we got Psychonauts 2 trailer. And it was a kind of a psychedelic, trippy type thing with Jack Black just jamming in the background. And I'm really kind of sad we didn't get or at least a time frame for this game, unless I missed it. But I'm just glad we got something. Glad this game is still alive. There's a lot of games I'm wondering about. I'm looking at Digimon Survive over here, if they still exist. But I'm so glad, yeah. Very just trippy, very cool. Psychonauts 2. I'm just so ready to finally know when this game comes out. I mean, especially since we're on the twilight of next gen, you got to get these games out. You know, I'm sure this is gonna be another game that gets a free upgrade to next gen. I'm not really sure. I don't know if they really talked about this game specifically for free upgrade, but I don't see why not. I mean, the Series X is gonna be, you know, all backwards compatible, so this game will probably be playable on the Series X. But I really hope we do see this on PS4 and PS5 even. But yeah, then we kind of just got a bunch of other little stuff. We got Destiny 2 DLC coming out. 343 Studios is really making sure that game is staying alive until they probably do a Destiny 3 for next gen in their own right, minus the microtransactions, and of course being they did officially separate from EA. I'm talking about Bungie. There was a 343 game studio thing in here somewhere, but Bungie is, the guys who do Destiny, and they're the original team that developed Halo, and so yeah, it looks like, you know, they're just keeping Destiny alive. They're adding a bunch of content, and it's funny how some games are really just staying alive by true add-on content, like Monster Hunter, Iceborne, and they just got another expansion. And yeah, Destiny's kind of been following suit on that as well, just really giving a lot of great add-on content, like Forsaken and all that. So yeah, really cool there. Yeah, we got a trailer for Stalker 2. That kind of came out of nowhere. I remember when Stalker was originally shown as like a next gen title on like the 360, and I never really heard much about that game. I'm not really sure what happened to Stalker, but they did show a sequel to Stalker 2. And it was a very creepy trailer. There was some really cool horror games being showed here, and they started with Stalker. And Stalker 2, and we got this baby in a jar thing, and traditionally it's a first-person horror shooter, but originally from the 360, it looked like there was a true multiplayer aspect to it. So really thought Stalker 2 was cool looking. Fat Shark is developing a Warhammer 40k Dark Tide. It actually was kind of a somewhat, I think, maybe unintentionally funny trailer with the it looks like it's going to be a first-person game. Warhammer 40k Space Marine. I'm thinking Aliens. Yeah, Space Marine was actually a pretty cool game if you're a fan of Warhammer 40k. Looks like they're kind of appealing to that market with more of an action-focused game for Warhammer 40k. Dark Tide, and yeah, the guy's flashlight wasn't working, and there was a scientist saying, "Oh, we're sending in this team to do research, and maybe they won't make it back." And it's really funny. This guy's flashlight wasn't working, and then it shuts off, and they look like they just get eaten right at the end. But yeah, and then we had Xbox stealing a game from Sony, and I'm a huge fan of Tetris Effect, and it looked like. They showed a trailer of Tetris. I could immediately tell from Enhanced Studios that this I knew the songs way too well. I played so much Tetris Effect, and I could definitely tell that Xbox was stealing a game from PlayStation because they had to steal a couple. That's the only way they're gonna catch up. But yeah, Tetris Effect Connected, looking like a very cool enhanced. Multiplayer focused Tetris Effect. I'm all for it. I'm not trying to be salty or anything. It's just funny that I'm really glad that game is getting more love. I feel like it just went under the radar. Probably an amazing PlayStation VR game. I just played a standard on my TV, but that game would be super cool to be played in VR. And then we got from the creators of Thunderfall, the Gunk looked very interesting too. Again, another kind of artsy action adventure. Kind of remind me of a game like Super Mario Sunshine or even Luigi's Mansion, where you're kind of this cartoony character and you get to absorb gunk, and it's very puzzly focused with an adventure type look and feel as well. Kind of looked like a Rare game. Kind of had that cartoony style, and again, a cool game, but it just wasn't next gen looking. I mean, it does look really cool with maybe a closer look at the cloth and maybe some of the material looking things in the game, but I was just really looking for that one huge game. Of course, I got another horror looking title. A Dual Worlds rendered simultaneously called The Medium, and this game looked really cool. There was kind of this heroine walking through these creepy levels, and then she could swap between the future and the past, or kind of like Stranger Things. She kind of could phase in and out of the upside down world, and really just kind of play through one level one way where there's not monsters, and then maybe you have to flip it around and go through the scary horror moments. And she was like cutting through flesh doors and things like that. So I'm really all for games like that that'll really just be a true mind fuck, for lack of a better term. So The Medium looked really cool. Yeah, we got another Phantasy Star Online. I know a lot of old school players. I know one of my buddies was a huge Phantasy Star Online guy back in the Dreamcast days. Yeah, Phantasy Star Online, and online gaming was actually created pretty much by the Sega Dreamcast. It was just too far ahead of the future. No one had good enough internet to really play with smooth frame rates and all that, just because internet was really not that great in the late 90s, early 2000s at this point. But of course, we've evolved from that. So Phantasy Star Online is getting a new title. yeah, there's a new Remedy game called Crossfire X coming out that looked like a maybe cooperative shooter type experience. And then they kind of had a big bit about the free upgrades to next gen for a lot of their priority titles like Gears 5. All the Halo games, I'm sure, will be brought over to Xbox Series X in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, and then right at the end, so that was pretty much the show. They showed all these games. We got some cool reveals. I wouldn't say quite as big as what we saw for Sony, and they're doing their State of Play in August, and they will really be bringing some more stuff to kind of counteract this Xbox showcase here. And they did the classic, oh, but wait, we got one more thing at the end of the show, and yeah, we finally got the rumored Fable trailer. I thought this trailer was really cool. As soon as I started hearing the narrator and the whimsical fantasy land type setting, we had this fairy flying around, and she looked really cool. Again, another pre-rendered trailer, no gameplay, but this fairy and this narrator were kind of telling the stories of heroes and villains, and then right at the end, the fairy gets eaten by a frog. It looks really great, and of course the narrator puts his 2 cents on the situation. And then we got the big reveal that it was Fable, just branded Fable. Again, another game that looked like it's kind of getting a soft reboot, much like how they just labeled Halo Infinite. Yeah, super jelly. Yeah, Sony all day. Oh, dude, thanks so much, man. You are too kind. We got to get more people throwing some stars my way. Emilio got to have some stars to himself, you know what I'm saying? But thanks, man. Really do appreciate it. Only you can prevent forest fires. But yeah, Sony all day for me. I'm not a Sony pony. This is why I'm covering the Xbox event, because I was genuinely interested. I thought some of the things we saw were very cool. I like the trailers they show, but yeah. So we got the big reveal that was Fable. They're all kind of soft rebooted Halo Infinite. It's just Forza Motorsport, just Fable. There's no numbered entries. They're really showcasing these games for the next generation to just start fresh. Let's not get bogged down by the story details, and Halo and Fable's stories have well been told, and that's kind of the cool thing about Fable, is that you kind of make your own story as well. So there's all that going on as well. But yeah, so we got the big Fable thing. So yeah, overall, that was the show for Xbox. I'm really glad that they just showed us the games. They showed us, I think, what a lot of fans have just been yearning for, even if they weren't really shown at the next gen quality that I think we should really be getting excited for. At least the content is there. Xbox is kind of, they directly responded to what the fans have been asking for, is just some quality games, even if they're not in the likes of God of War or Marvel Spider-Man, even if they're not hyped up for years and years until we actually get them at a reasonable time frame, I'd say. But a lot of these games are coming out very soon. There's going to be a lot of cool content Xbox players are going to be playing, and it sounds like pretty much everything is going to translate over to the Series X. Should you get your hands on one, I think the next gen consoles, both Xbox and Sony's, are going to be still somewhat hard to get, even though they are doubling down in production. Again, it's not the production that's really holding things back during these pandemic times. It's really the shipping and handling. I've ordered games that I'm still waiting for weeks ago. It's just kind of hard distributing right now. But yeah, I actually did get a little giddy and excited when I was watching this today, because it just kind of did remind me of that Sony events. And of course, we're getting that new Sony PlayStation State of Play in August. It sounds like it's rumored to be August 6th. Yeah, our guy on Twitter did his research. He's got his guy, Robert Serrano. So hopefully that comes to fruition. I'm sure we're going to get one regardless. It's just, when and where, really. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to take some time to talk about the showcase, what we saw today. Just kind of my 2 cents on where Xbox is going with this stuff. Again, I love Phil Spencer. I love his smug, confident look that he's got going on. He's really eyeing down next gen, and he's really competing more with Stadia, because all these games are going to be playable free through the cloud. I mean, they're pretty much shutting Stadia down right now. I can't believe I'm still seeing Stadia commercials trying to sell this thing. It's kind of too little too late. A lot of content that has been promised hasn't come to fruition. And with the Xbox Gaming Cloud, if you're just going to be able to play these things on the fly pretty much on your computer with an Xbox controller in hand, I mean, Stadia is not even a conversation at this point. I'm always going to be more of the disc-based. I'm going to get the disc-based PS5. I'm definitely going to go for the PS5 first over the Xbox, but you know, this conference maybe nudged me in the other direction, even if ever so slightly. I got to see more. It sounds like we're getting more. They were saying, only a handful of their titles was shown, and we'll be getting more, especially since we're on the twilight of next gen already. But yeah, overall a good show. Not super bad like a lot of people and streamers and YouTubers I've been watching. I think there was something to be had here. It wasn't all bad. Just maybe underwhelming is the right word. But granted, they actually did show what I wanted to see ultimately at the end of the day. I just wanted to see. We just want to see. But yeah, Doobs, I don't want to take up any more time. Thank you so much for following, liking, sharing, subscribing. We're getting new friends every day. It really does mean a lot to me. I just wanted to do this special DoobiSode with the Xbox game event that we just got here. Very cool stuff. Just wanted to report on that a little bit. But yeah, Doobs, hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. And if you haven't followed the Doob Radical Gaming community, please make sure to follow. Hit the like button on the page, on the videos, all the love and support. Maybe someone else can shoot me some stars other than my boy Emilio. My boy Meals, thanks, man. I really miss you, buddy. And just, make sure to just take care of your loved ones. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Make sure your voice is heard. All that good stuff. Yeah, and as always, Doobs, we'll be right back.